All right. Welcome to episode 1, everybody. My name is Tina Dominguez, and I am going to be your host for the Mission Deserved podcast. So, thank you so much for joining me. And once again, welcome to episode 1. So, I'm sure that you're probably wondering, what is up with the name of your podcast, The Mission Deserved? Like, what is that about, right? Well, first of all, it's a play on my initials, TMD. Ever since I was in middle school, I have signed everything, whether it was cards, letters, or just tagging things with TMD. And I even made an art piece out of wood that looked how I wrote it, like TMD, and it was just this cool little wood art piece. So something about that is just stuck with me. Even to this day, I sign things with my initials in that same way. So I wanted to come up with a name incorporating TMD. And interestingly enough, this name originally came about in 2019 when I was creating a different program. I ended up only running that program once and then let it go. But this name stuck with me. And it's for a good reason, because it's not just something that I randomly created. I really took the time to think about it because I wanted it to incorporate the letters TMD, yes, but I wanted it to mean something and there to be like a legit meaning behind it, not just picking words because they had the right letters, you know? So I know that it kind of does have militaristic vibes, but my past Marine Corps history has nothing to do with why I came up with this name. So for me, well, I should say, first of all, we know that the word mission has a few different meanings, right? But the one that resonated with me was this one, and I'm going to read it so I don't mess it up. An important goal or purpose that is accompanied by strong conviction, a calling or a vocation. So that really resonated with me because one of my fundamental beliefs, like something I truly believe to the core of my body, is that one person can make the difference in the life of another. And I truly believe that because I had that person. There was one person in my life who 1,000,000% made a difference for me and helped shape the trajectory of my life. So an important goal of mine, and a goal that is also accompanied by having this strong conviction, or I guess we could even just call it my manifesto, it revolves around this. And the deserved part of the name, well, to me, that implies that we all deserve, and we even owe it to ourselves to be able to pursue a goal or a purpose or even a just cause, if you know what that is, a just cause. That means so much to you that all the sacrifices that you have to make for it are going to be worth it, and it's going to feel good to you at the end or as long as you keep doing it. And I think for you to better understand what I mean, that I should share my manifesto with you. And I don't have it memorized, so I'm going to read it off of my screen. So here we go. Our stories matter. What we do matters. And we fucking matter. Even in our darkest moments, there's light. We may not see it, but it's all around us. And through perseverance, we always find it again. We are driven by growth, open-mindedness, and thinking others first. We strive to be someone who makes a difference in the life of another. And we strive to be the guiding light that helps someone else find theirs. We believe it's about empowering others, mentoring, educating, and figuring out what a win looks like for them, no matter how big or small. And together, we rise up and persevere. Because we matter, what we do matters, and our stories fucking matter. So there's a lot of meaning behind that for me. And I hope it resonated with you in some way, but I feel like I had to share that with you so that you basically kind of had a better understanding of why I went with this title for this podcast when it is a content creation, social media type based podcast, right? But you know what? I'm sticking true to what I want to do. And it might not jive or be the perfect podcast title, but it means something to me. And this podcast is going to be so much more than just talking about content and how to create and things like that. But I digress. So now that you basically understand the meaning behind my podcast name, it would probably be a good idea if I told you a little bit about myself, especially if you are new to me, right? So I was born in Carlsbad, New Mexico, really small town, and I joined the Marine Corps shortly after high school. Then in 2015, I retired from the Marines, and then pretty much over the course of the next 6 years, I basically went on this journey of figuring out who the hell I was. Like, who was I really? And what did I want to do with my life? Especially after having spent my entire adult life up until that point in the Marine Corps. That was all I knew. High school, Marine Corps, and then I'm out in the world on my own and having identity crisis, basically. So I ended up going back to school and I studied exercise science and nutrition. And along the way, I got certified as a personal trainer, as a CrossFit Level 1 trainer, and also as a nutrition coach. And back then, that's what made sense for me to do, not only because it was just a sensible thing, but it was because something that I loved doing. I still love it. Health and fitness has been and will always be an important part of my life. So it flowed naturally. Like that was just the natural next step for me to take. So that's what I did. Over time, and obviously this podcast kind of gives it away from the first few minutes, I have pivoted from that. So if you didn't know that, now you do. But I'm still very much a part and involved and around the health and fitness industry. So I'm a creative by nature, and what I didn't realize was that I had accidentally pushed that part of me aside for about 8 years. So I was still doing creative type things, but I wasn't really fulfilling my creative needs. And I guess at the time I didn't really know that I needed those things because I'd just been pushing them aside, right? So in a weird turn of events and an amazing opportunity. It was towards the end of 2019, I stumbled upon this opportunity to be able to become a creative at Apple. And basically what that is I was facilitating and educating various different types of classes, things ranging from how to use your device all the way to actually showing the creative side of how to take photos and videos and edit, amongst several other things. So that is what really helped me remember how much I loved educating, how much I loved creating, and honestly, how much I loved doing those things from behind the camera and behind the computer. So we fast forward to today, and basically I had just seen a gap in the health and fitness industry and even in other industries, and I knew that I could fill that gap. But I have to be completely honest here. I had rejected this idea for about 8 months, and it wasn't even my idea. So my initial pivot from nutrition coaching was into personal brand photography. And that is something that I still do today, but it's not my primary thing. So the entire time I was focusing and just getting clients and doing personal brand photography, a common theme kept arising from them. And it was basically that they're like, hey, we have these amazing pictures now and we have so many of them, but we still don't really know what to do with them. Like, what do we talk about? What do I post about? Like, what? I have all these pictures and I don't know what to do with them. And it was those same clients who would ask me for help with what to post, what to say, how to create certain things, and just understanding what to talk about on social media, right? And it wasn't that they were new to social media, because they weren't. It was that they were new to using social media in a way that would connect to their target audience or their ideal client, and also new to creating content that connected with people. And I'm talking about in terms of for their business, for their online coaching business, whether it's like a side hustle or if it was their primary thing. So there was a gap there. So for about 8 months, I kept, kindly declining and saying, no, thank you. That's just not something I want to help people with. And honestly, I can't even remember why or what it was that flipped the light switch and made me change my mind. But I'm so glad that I did, because it's been the best decision. I'm so happy that I gave in and changed my mind and that I'm doing this now. So thank you to all those people who kept nudging me. You know who you are. I truly appreciate you. So now here I am. This is what I'm doing. And this podcast is probably, I don't want to say it's the final extension to the things that I'm doing, but I had never even considered starting a podcast because I was blocking myself. I was creating my own barrier by saying, how am I supposed to teach or educate or talk about creative type content when most of the stuff is visual, right? And podcast is, well, auditory. But I was wrong. Like, there's so much that can be done on a podcast. So the Mission Deserved podcast, it's for people or coaches who are also on a mission to create impact, right? And it's going to be to help educate you on the basic fundamentals and even beyond of content creation, strategies, best practices, and all of the things as it relates to using social media for your business or even your side hustle. But even more than that, it's going to be so much more. Yes, I will be doing a lot of solo podcasts and talking about things, but I'm going to have so many other health and fitness coaches and people in the industry on my podcast to talk about real life stuff that they've gone through, things they're experiencing, and ultimately, having them also share some of their lessons learned and their best practices so that it can help you as well. Because, I truly believe we are all better together, right? So I'm really excited for this. And I just want to say thanks again for being here. This was it. This was episode 1. I got it out of the way. So thank you so much for joining me on the Mission Deserved podcast. And again, I'm your host, TMD. Oh, wow. I'm going to look back on this podcast someday and I'm going to cringe. But you know what? We all have to start somewhere, right? So this is my beginning, right? Anyway, thank you again. Have a great day. Thanks for joining me, and may you continue to rise up and persevere.